best entertainment on the earth. Tune in for Comics with Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. Comixology updated their application, merging it with Amazon, something that they said was going to come for a long time. Everyone kind of ignored, and then it came, and it sucked, and everyone freaked out. How did it suck? Well, the overall reader and format was a huge step backward in user experience, more difficult to read, more difficult to browse, and in addition to that, subscriptions you were signed up for were abruptly canceled, meaning you had to get them signed up again. Sorry, not subscriptions, pre-orders. If you had subscriptions out of the US, they were canceled, and a large number of other issues and changes. Basically, everyone pointed out how awful things were, and that if they had just done nothing, the site actually would have come out ahead. Now, Comixology, kind of in their last big push for comics before this Amazon merge, worked with Scott Snyder, got a large number of creators to go over with him, including longtime collaborator Greg Capullo, and they tried to make a big dent on Amazon. Now, we don't know those sales, but regardless, you do have to wonder about bets like that when they do this update. It gets extremely panned, and at this point, a lot of the old pillars of where people thought the comic industry was going are falling apart. You had Kickstarter become NFT blockchain site, so people complained about that. Then you had this situation with Comixology, which many people believed was going to be the future of digital, and that has gone wrong. But basically, Amazon/Comixology did take to Twitter to basically do a short tweet thread, 10 tweets, kind of acknowledging the mistakes and promising to do better. So what exactly did they say? Well, here is their entire statement. Update from the team on the Comixology 4.0 rollout. We want to make a moment to address the transition to our new app and comics web store experience. We know this process has been far from seamless, and we've heard your feedback. We understand how important improving the web reader experience is and are working as fast as possible to implement those improvements. This is our top priority right now. We've already rolled out an update to the Fire OS app and are working on a bug fix for books that aren't loading in HD. We're making a number of other updates, prioritizing fast, incremental improvements to ease the hardest pain points. Soon we'll be rolling out updates to our new releases filter on the new releases page across web and app so filters work correctly. In the meantime, we'll keep the more new releases category up to date with all the new releases for the week. While we work on those and other refinements, we wanted to highlight some things that we've heard customers couldn't find but are still available in the new Comixology experience. Guided view is still available in the app reading experience. Just double tap a panel to enter or exit guided view. All your purchases are available via the account page on the web, along with DRM free downloads for your books purchased prior to the 4.0 update. We'll be adding navigation to your account from the main store page soon. Moving to the new code base and away from our dedicated web experience was a tough call, but it's an important step toward our long-term goals, to share our love of comics, manga, and graphic novels, and to reach more lifelong fans. We hear your feedback, and we recognize that there's a lot to be done. We appreciate your patience and support while we do everything we can to bring you the experience we envision. More to come, the Comixology team. So that was their full statement, and they basically, a number of people commented on that. Now, in that statement, if you want to peel it back, you'll note that it does address several bugs being kind of the broken filtering, bugs being the HD situation where books weren't loading properly, and a few other kind of pieces. But you'll notice nothing else was really commented on beyond that. Why is that? Well, for one, the new Comixology app is in effect Kindle. That is the code base that they've moved to. That's what Amazon has done. The store reader experience is the Amazon storefront. They are not going to alter the primary Amazon storefront code base to reflect Comixology. Why? Because the platform they're using is what they use for their multi-billion-dollar business. That's not changing. In terms of the actual reader app, they're going to keep it as Kindle as well. Now, they may make improvements, but this gets out of some of the royalties and other things they're having to pay before, and they're going to keep this new code base that they own wholly. This is an Amazon company. Amazon bought Comixology some time ago. It is Amazon. They're going to merge things to make it feel more like Amazon. New future improvements that they're going to make are going to include things like using Amazon's search recommendation filter that will allow it to cross-sell you books and other goods. I would expect things like merchandise to start showing up there, where if you read a Spider-Man book, they're going to offer you other things from Amazon's storefront that have nothing to do with comics. I think you'll start to see a lot of that material. But in terms of the rest of this, it is what it is. Notice they're not committing to anything with the subscriptions. They're not committing to anything with pre-orders. They're not going to fix any of the shopping and purchasing issues, because the shopping and purchasing issues work like they do on the main site. If you see improvements to the main site, Amazon's web storefront, you can expect those improvements to get rolled into the comic shop as well. But for comics alone, forget about it. So what does all this mean? It's not going to be a comic reader experience. And to be blunt, Amazon doesn't care about having a comic reader experience. There isn't enough money in digital books or digital comics in order to make this a high priority for them. Now, I know in their statement they said it is a top priority for the Comixology team, but what is the Comixology team right now? It's pretty small. It's been merged with other business units in Amazon, and it pales in comparison to their main storefront, to their AWS cloud service, and their other microservices that they're making quite a bit of money on, far more money than this will ever make. So the reality is you're going to get what you get. If you're looking for a digital reader experience, you're going to have to look somewhere else. You're going to have to go to different sites by different people. The reality of all this is, yeah, Webtoons is going to continue to make traction. So is Tapas. So is Shonen Jump. Those sites have things well in hand, and those sites are going to continue to evolve and grow their core business because that's what matters to them. Amazon are going to try and steer you to buying books. If, and it's a big if, digital ever does become a priority, you can expect Amazon to purchase whatever piece of software, and any of those names I mentioned, they could buy, just flat out. They have the money to do it. Frankly, the better comic reading experience, if you haven't seen it, is Apple Books. Now, before somebody accuses me of being a shill for Apple, I will point out that Apple's cut to creators is 70% to the creator, which is far better than what you get off of Amazon. If you've been a Comixology creator, you may have dropped out of your shoes at that announcement. Apple is saying that they're going to put a higher priority toward comics. Now, there's no chance Apple is going to get in the business of publishing comics, and they're not going to do this Comixology Originals business or anything else like that. But would they do a partnership with Substack? Actually, probably not. But what they would do is they would preference Substack applications and services. They publish Webtoon, they publish Tapas. They will definitely promote other people within their app ecosystem. And generally speaking, their Apple book reader experience is pretty good. Not perfect, not as good as some of the other people I've mentioned. I think Shonen Jump continues, and it is bizarre, with an extremely basic UI and application experience to be the far superior piece of software. But it is what it is. So I would check out Apple Books if you have an iPad or a tablet and you'd like to read there. It's pretty good. If you're a creator, you ought to at least think about putting some of your content there. The cut they're going to give you is pretty nice, and it's easy to sign up for an account. You don't have to pay for it. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And this is one of those cases where, unlike a lot of other things, you do not see people, beating on Amazon for weird reasons. Now, what is comical is, despite all the hatred, Amazon is a blockchain user, much like Kickstarter. Now, nobody's complaining about that because the reality is people like their Amazon Prime next day delivery, and they're not going to go too hard at that company because they like it. But it is nice that the complaints about the Comixology changes and everything else are based on user experience and how terrible it is. The UI, the features, the financial cut for creators are terrible. It's ridiculously unfair what Amazon gives creators on the platform compared to others. Everyone else is better. You would have a stronger financial shot trying to get your stuff out through Diamond than going through this system. And so for that reason, yeah, they deserve to be mocked. And like I said, it's not going to get better. None of this is going to get better. No matter how many times Patton Oswalt says, hey, please make it better. You gotta, the person who seems like he's in a real tough bind on this is Scott Snyder. He made a pretty big move away from DC to control his own destiny with Comixology. They rolled out the red carpet for him. They threw some parties. They did a big deal for his content, and then they turned their application platform into a dumpster fire and have basically since indicated that they're not going to fix anything. Now, if you're Scott, that sucks. You've now got to figure out if you want to try and make a go of it on Substack. I know he does have one. Or you're going to go back to DC and say, hey, I know you just put that Zdarsky guy over on Batman, but you're not sticking with Tamaki on Detective, right? I mean, I could do that. Or maybe maybe they need an X-Men reboot. You can go over and do that. I'm kidding. It's a tough time because there were some pretty solid artists that Scott brought with him over to this platform. Now they can do other work, and many of them already have, but pretty rug pulling out from under your feet moment for him. So I don't know what to say. I feel bad. It's what a mess. Anyway. Let me know if you are still hanging with Comixology, what you think of the changes. Maybe you're one of the people who says, I don't understand why everybody's complaining. It's not that bad. But there's your update. That's what's going on. Certainly doesn't look pretty. Thanks for listening.